Guadalupe Island. Guadalupe Island, or Isla Guadalupe, is a volcanic island located 241 kilometers, 150 mi off the west coast of Mexico's Baja California Peninsula, and about 400 km in the Pacific Ocean. The various volcanoes are extinct or dormant. In 2005, Guadalupe Island and its surrounding waters and islets were declared a biosphere reserve to restore its vegetation decimated by goats and to protect its population of marine mammals and birds. The island is a popular destination for white shark cage diving. Guadalupe Island is inhabited only by scientists, military personnel operating a weather station, and a small group of seasonal fishermen. The island is mostly arid and has very little surface water. The two other Mexican island groups in the Pacific Ocean that are not on the continental shelf are the Revillagigedo Islands and Rocas Alijos. Guadalupe Island and its islets are the westernmost region of Mexico. Administration and population. The 2010 census recorded a population of 213 people on the island. In 2015, it was estimated to have fewer than 150 permanent residents. Guadalupe is part of Ensenada delegation, one of the 24 delegations or subdivisions of Ensenada municipality of the Mexican state of Baja California. Ensenada delegation and Chapultepec delegation together form the city of Ensenada, the municipal seat of the namesake municipality. The postal code of Guadalupe Island is 22,997. Campo East-West Camp, also called Campo Tepayac, with 15 buildings, is a small community of abalone and lobster fishermen, located on the western coast, specifically on the north side of West Anchorage, a bay that provides protection from the strong winds and swells that whip the islands during winter. Generators provide electricity, and a military vessel brings 30,000 liters, 6,600 imp gal, 7,900 US gal of fresh water. The number of fishermen varies annually depending on the fishing season. 10 months of the year, the 30 families of the fishing cooperative of Bielaneros and Langosteros of Guadalupe Island are present. Additional temporary fishing camps are Campo North Camp, 4 buildings, Campo Lima, Campo Corrales, 1 building, and Arroyitos, 4 buildings. At the southern tip, on Melpomene Cove, there is a weather station staffed by a detachment from the Mexican Ministry of the Navy. The site is called Campamento Sur South Encampment. Campo Bosque was established as a temporary camp in 1999 in the cypress forest in the north. The camp houses members of the Cooperative Farming Society Francisco Javier Matorna, SC of RL, and removes goats from the island and sells them in the state of Sonora, with permission of Secretariat of the Environment and Natural Resources SEMARNAT and the support of the Secretariat of the Navy. Campo Pistic is located at the small airport, near the center of the island, 29 Digana 24.4 and 118 Dig 1621.75 W, elevation 592 m, direction 5/23 Airport Isla Guadalupe, ICAO code MMGD, has a 1,200-meter-long 3,900 ft runway. At the end of the runway near Threshold 5 is the wreckage of a Lockheed Model 18 Lodestar, which overshot the runway during landing. A North American B-25J-30/32 Mitchell BM M-3501C/N44-86,000. Based on historical Google Earth imagery, this B-25 wreckage appears to have been removed from the location between October 2005 and June 2006. Because Guadalupe Island is located within a biosphere reserve, anyone visiting the island must obtain a permit from the Mexican government. This means the communities on the island are closed towns. Geology. Guadalupe Island has a rugged landscape composed of 2 shield volcanoes which formed on a now extinct mid-ocean ridge. They are overlain by lava flows and cinder cones that were emplaced along northwest-southeast and northeast-southwest trending fissure vents. The youngest shield volcano comprises the northern end of the island and may have formed during the Holocene epoch. A series of very fresh-looking alkali basalt flows along with trachyte domes in the northern shield volcano caldera represent the most recently formed rocks on Guadalupe Island. Geography. The island measures 35 kilometers, 22 mi north-south, and up to 9.5 kilometers, 5.9 mi east-west, with a total area of 243.988 km to 94.204 sq mi. It features a chain of high volcanic mountain ridges, which rises to a height of 1298 meters, 4,259 ft at its northern end, Mount Augusta. Its smaller counterpart on the southern end is the 975 meters 3,199 ft Picacho. The southern part of the island is mostly barren, but there are scattered stands of trees at higher elevations of the northern part of the island and in the Twin Canyon area on the northeast coast. The coast generally consists of rocky bluffs with detached rocks fronting some of them. Two high and prominent islets are within 3 kilometers 1.9 mi of the southwestern end of the island, separated from one another by a gap called Tuna Alley. Islote Afura Outer Islet, also Islote Zapato, 28-5153 and 118-1740, 1W 1.5 ha 3.7 acres, the most distant, steep with almost vertical walls above and below water, low water, below water. Church Rock. Roca del Skip elsewhere, the other islets are very small and close to the shore, all less than 1 kilometer, 0.62 mi away. Islote Negro, 28-5423 in 118-1718 W, 8.8 ha 22 acres to the southwest. Roca Hundida, 28-55 in 118-18 W, 0.3 ha 0.74 acres to the southwest. Islote Bernal, 28-56 and 118-1753 W, 1.1 ha 2.7 acres to the southwest. Puerto Muerto, 28-56-49 and 118-1742 W, 0.5 ha 1.2 acres, 2 km 1.2 mi north of Islote Bernal. Unnamed islet, 28-56-59 and 118-1748 W, 0.2 ha 0.49 acres, 4 km 2.5 mi north of Islote Bernal. Steamboat Rock, 0.3 ha 0.74 acres, to the west. Roca Elephant, 0.1 ha 0.25 acres, to the northwest, the westernmost. Roca Elephant is the westernmost point in both Mexico and Latin America. Climate. The island has two major climate zones, a very arid, semi-hot climate between 0 and 800 meters 0 and 26-25 feet elevation, with mean annual temperature between 18 and 22°C 64 and 72°F, and a very arid, temperate climate above 800 meters 265. Most precipitation occurs over the winter months, with a strong influence of northwestern winds and cyclones. Rainfall averages 133 millimeters 5.2 in near sea level at the south end, but appears to be much more at the high north end. An estimate for the rainfall in the northern highlands is possible by way of taking Pinus radiata as an indicator, which is native to that area of the island. In other places where Pinus radiata is native, it grows best with about 750 millimeters 29.5 in of rainfall, but under some conditions can survive with as little as half that much. The effective moisture is much greater because of fog drip. Ecology. Guadalupe Island was a major destination for Russian and American fur hunters seeking the Guadalupe fur seal Arctosphalis townsendii in the 18th and 19th centuries until they were nearly extinct by 1844. Captain August du Silly reported in 1827 that a Sandwich Islands, Hawaiian Islands brig had spent several months there and collected 3,000 sealskins. The northern elephant seal Miranga angustirostris was also ruthlessly hunted for the oil in its blubber. They were thought to be extinct in 1884 until a remnant population of 8 individuals was discovered on Guadalupe Island in 1892 by a Smithsonian expedition, who promptly killed several of them for their collections. The elephant seals managed to survive and were finally protected by the Mexican government in 1922. All surviving northern elephant seals share the same male ancestor. Guadalupe shares the California chaparral and woodlands ecoregion with the Channel Islands of California in the United States, but the island was at one time practically denuded of all plants higher than a few centimeters by up to 100,000 feral goats. Originally brought there in the 19th century by European whalers and sealers for provisions when stopping over, the population eventually eliminated most vegetation. The number of goats declined to a few thousand. Before this collapse, the main impact of the goat population was about the turn of the 19th/20th century. Naturalist A.W. Antony wrote in 1901, "It is directly due to the despised billy goat that many interesting species of plants formerly abundant are now extinct, and also that one or more of the birds peculiar to the island has disappeared, and others are following rapidly." After the crash, the goat population once again grew, this time more slowly, until it had reached the new, lower carrying capacity at maybe 10,000, 20,000 in modern times. The island had been a nature conservancy area since August 16, 1928, making it one of the oldest reserves in Mexico. Eradication of the goats was long envisioned, but logistical difficulties such as island size and lack of suitable spots for landing and encamping hunters and material prevented this. In 2002, the Mexican government, including Semarnat and the conservation group Grupo de Ecologia y Conservación de Islas, began eliminating the goats. In June 2005, after many years of false starts, the Mexican government had almost completed a roundup and evacuation of the remaining goat population. In 2007, the goat elimination program ended. 10,000 feral goats were eliminated. Guadalupe Island was designated a biosphere reserve on April 25, 2005. French Sea Captain Auguste du Silly remarked on the tall trees on the north of Guadalupe Island as he sailed past on January 2, 1827. Of the large tree species on Guadalupe Island, Guadalupe palm, Guadalupe cypress, island oak, and Guadalupe pine, there were only old individuals left. California juniper had entirely disappeared. As the goats ate any seedlings that managed to germinate, no regeneration of trees is possible. Water, formerly plentiful as the common fogs, condensed in the forests of the northern end of the island, because the springs were a critical emergency water supply for the human inhabitants. Protective measures including goat fences were installed beginning in 2000, allowing new seedlings of many species to survive for the first time in 150 years. Seacology, a nonprofit environmental group located in Berkeley, provided funding to the Island Conservation and Ecology Group for the construction of 10 fenced exclosures to keep goats out of the most sensitive areas of Guadalupe Island. In November 1850, U.S. Army Lieutenant George H. Derby passed the island on his expedition in the U.S. transport Invincible. He described it thus: "This island is about 15 miles length and 5 in width. Many islands or marine species that reside on or near Guadalupe also frequent the Channel Islands and vice versa." In stark contrast to the rampant extinction of terrestrial life that happened at the same time, Guadalupe was the last refuge for the northern elephant seal Miranga angustirostris and the Guadalupe fur seal Arctosphalus townsendi in the 1890s. The island has been a penic sanctuary since 1975. The movement of the cool, nutrient-rich water current promotes phytoplankton production and attracts both coastal and deep water species, including great white sharks. Guadalupe is considered one of the best spots in the world for sightings of the great white shark, possibly because of its large population of pinnates. The island has been recognized as an important bird area IBA by BirdLife International. Habitat types. Before the removal of goats, flora of the coastal lowlands and rocky cliffs, mainly up to 200 meters 656 ft above mean sea level ASL, but higher on the steep cliffs. Largely unresearched due to difficult access, the cliffs might even harbor remnant specimens of the presumably extinct plants. Succulent perennial herbs 200-400 meters 656 1312 ft ASL, chiefly on the southern end and on the offshore islets, and in less steep areas towards sea level. Here, the highest number of endemic plants exist. Vireopsis guadalupensis, Cistand guadalupensis, Dudleia guadalupensis, Hemizonia greenina ssp. Greenina, H. Palmeri, Peritile incana, and Stephanomeria guadalupensis are dominant endemics, and giant Coreopsis gigantea, a non-endemic native species, is also abundant. Arid maritime shrubland 400-600 meters 1312-1969 FTA mainly in the southern portion around El Picacho. Native species occurring here include Ambrosia camphorata, Atriplex barclayana, Cylindropuntia prolifera, and California boxthorn Lycium californicum. None of these is endemic. Herbland dominated by introduced plants, 600-800 meters 1969-2625 FTASL, mainly on the Central Plateau. This habitat is almost entirely a consequence of overgrazing. Hardly anything of the original ecosystem remains. Dominant introduced plants are Avena barbata, Bromus berteronus, great brome bee diandrus, soft brome bee, Hordeaceus sspp, Hordaceus and mollis, red brome bee Madraxus ssp rubens, Tocolope centuria melitsis, nettle-leaved goosefoot Chenopodium murale, Phalago californica, wall barley. The non-endemic natives dwarf coseweed Amblia apis pusillus, island false bindweed Calistegia macrostegia ssp macrostegia, Cryptantha maritima var. Maritima, Phalago arizonica, Julia nevinii, California goldfields Lasthenia californica, Pecticaria palmeri, and Peritile amori, as well as the endemics Cryptantha foliosa and Sphaerosia palmeri, can be found here also. Some are still numerous. This probably was a mesic shrub/herbland before the goats destroyed the upland forest, upsetting the water supply. Native plants still found on Guadalupe, like Crossosoma californicum, laurel sumac Melasma laurina, and the endemic Camisonia guadalupensis ssp. Guadalupensis presumably thrived here in former times, as would have such taxa as the native hoary-leaved Ceanothus crassifolius, wedge-leaved Ceanothus C. conitus, and possibly also felt-leaved Ceanothus C. arboreus, which was found in 2001-2003 surveys, Camisonia robusta. Red flowering currant rye. Guadalupe palm groves, 400-900 meters 1312-2953 FTASL on the northwest side of the island. There are hundreds of palm trees remaining, mainly in a single patch of this habitat. At least one other major palm forest existed at the W coast. It was still present in 1906 at Steamer Point. As reproduction is presumably still ongoing, the species will likely recover in due time. Guadalupe cypress forest, 801,000 meters 2625 3000, 281 FTASL. Presently some 4,000 old trees, essentially limited to the central northern part. Other cypress forests, such as a major stand any of the present patch which was still extant in 1906, have been destroyed by the goats early in the 20th century. There is still reproduction, but the water table appears to have declined to below the level required by the cypresses, and mortality of the old trees is high and can be expected to continue even after the removal of the goats. Guadalupe Palm Island Oak Guadalupe Pine Woodland 901,000 meters 2953 3000, 281 FTASL. This habitat has all but disappeared during the 20th century, due to the decline in numbers of the oaks and pines. Guadalupe pine cloud forest with some island oak, restricted to above 1,000 meters 3,281 FTA cell on the in any point of the island. The population of the pine has declined by about two-thirds during the last 35 years. It presently stands at about 130 old trees in the main population and about the same number scattered elsewhere. Reproduction is ongoing, with several hundred seedlings having successfully established themselves since 2000, and with the elimination of goat browsing, the pines will likely make a full recovery. The situation of the oak is direr. There are only 20 trees or so remaining by about 1950. There were 100 and they appear past reproductive age. Not being restricted to Guadalupe, seedlings could be imported from elsewhere. A ninth habitat type, California juniper woodland and extending on the central plateau below the cypress forest, was entirely gone by 1906. What other endemic life forms underwent coextinction with it will forever remain unknown. Endemism. Animals. Guadalupe for seal Arctosphalis townsendii only major breeding site. Townsend's storm petrel Ocenodroma saccharoensis only known breeding site. Ailey's storm petrel Ocenodroma chaman nests only known breeding site. Guadalupe rock wren Salpinx obsoletus guadalupensis endemic. Guadalupe housefinch Carpodacus mexicanus amplis endemic. Guadalupe pipefish Signathus insuli endemic. Guadalupe junco insularis endemic. Guadalupe caracara lutosa endemic, extinct. Guadalupe Buix wren Thryamanes Bewikia brevicauda endemic, extinct. Endemic spiders Habernatus gigas, Natis gigas, Natis gigas, Natis gigas, Natis gigas, Herpelus giganteus, Hibromoa isolata, Sergiolus guadalupensis plants, Viriopsis guadalupensis near endemic, Brahia edulis Guadalupe palm effectively endemic, Camisonia guadalupensis ssp, Guadalupensis endemic, Castellegia fruticosa endemic, Cistand guadalupensis endemic, Cupressus guadalupensis var, Guadalupensis Guadalupe cypress endemic, Cryptantha foliosa endemic, Dainandra frutescens endemic, Dainandra greenina ssp, Greenina endemic, Dainandra palmeri endemic, Thudlia guadalupensis endemic, Thudlia virens ssp, Extima endemic, Eriogonum zapatones endemic, Erysimum morinae endemic, Escalzia elegans near endemic, Escalzia palmeri endemic, Gallium angulosum endemic, Cathopsis diffusa var, Guadalupensis endemic, Hemizonia frutescens endemic, Hemizonia greenina ssp, Greenina endemic, Hemizonia palmeri endemic, Petromels arbutifolia var, Macrocarpa probably endemic, Lavitera lindsay endemic, Lupinus niveus endemic, Mara guadalupensis near endemic or endemic, Paratile incana endemic, Phacelia philomanica endemic, Pinus radiata var. Binata Guadalupe Island Monterey pine near endemic or endemic, Saccharegia palmeri endemic, rediscovered in 2001-2003 surveys, Senecio palmeri endemic, Sphaerocea palmeri endemic, Sphaerocea sulfurea endemic, Stephanomeria guadalupensis endemic, Tritolaea guadalupensis endemic. Extinctions. Numerous taxa have gone extinct due to the habitat destruction by the goats, which in turn rendered the endemic fauna vulnerable to predation by introduced cats and adverse weather by depriving them of shelter. There have been 5-6 extinctions of birds. Guadalupe Buix wren Thryamanes bewikia brevicauda, late 1890s. Guadalupe spotted Toti Pipilo maculatus consabrinus, late 1890s. The Guadalupe caracara Polyborus lutosus was intentionally made extinct by humans around 1901, ironically because it occasionally preyed on young goats. Guadalupe flicker Collepts Cafer rufipilius, c. 1910 The island was later recolonized by individuals of the nominate subspecies Guadalupe storm petrel Ocenodroma macrodactyla, 1910s. The Guadalupe ruby-crowned kinglet Regulus calendula obscurus is close to extinction, if it indeed still exists. It was not observed in 2000 despite thorough searches. Globally extinct plant taxa from Guadalupe Island are Castellegia guadalupensis, Hesperilla palmeri, Cogagine tenuifloron, one species of plant Incertae sedis,